I have been really appreciating this section from how much cultural elements are brought into the picture through just this meeting of Swayambhuva Manu and Kardama Muni. Earlier, I had presented to you the overall table of content for um, what are the different parameters for an ideal Grihastha life. There are two other verses and purports that are adding to the list in this section. And that is the 15th verse and the 19th verse. The 15th verse is talking about the factors in choosing a wife, and verse number 19 is talking about the importance of um, begetting a child with the right purpose. So let's just have a look into the 15th verse. So here, Kardama Muni is responding to Swayambhuva Manu's offer of his daughter Devahūti and expressing his intention wholeheartedly. So Kardama Muni responds by saying, "Certainly I have a desire to marry, and your daughter has not yet married or given her word to anyone. Therefore, our marriage according to the Vedic system can take place." So Prabhupada is writing in his purport that there were many considerations by Kardama Muni before accepting the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. And this is basically going in the direction of what are the factors that one should consider when choosing a wife. Most important is that Devahūti had, first of all, fixed her mind on marrying him. She did not choose to have any other man as her husband. That is a great consideration because female psychology dictates that when a woman offers her heart to a man for the first time, it is very difficult for her to take it back. Also, she had not married before. She was a virgin girl. All these considerations convinced Kardama Muni to accept her. Therefore, he said, "Yes, I shall accept your daughter under religious regulations of marriage." And then Prabhupada is talking about different kinds of marriages. So, of which the first class marriage is held by inviting a suitable bridegroom for the daughter and giving her in charity, well dressed and well decorated with ornaments, along with a dowry, according to the means of the father. There are other kinds of marriages, such as Gandharva marriage and marriage by love, which are also accepted as marriage. So please carefully note that here love marriage is also an acceptable form of marriage. So even if one is forcibly kidnapped and later on accepted as a wife, that is also accepted. But Kardama Muni accepted the first class way of marriage because the father was willing and the daughter was qualified. And she had never offered her heart to anyone else. All these considerations made Kardama Muni agree to accept the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. And then in the 19th verse, Kardama Muni is saying that I shall accept this chaste girl as my wife on the condition that after she bears semen from my body, I shall accept the life of devotional service accepted by the most perfect human beings. That process was described by Lord Vishnu. It is free from envy. So this is a very serious condition that Sage Kardama is putting up front before even the marriage is taking place. That after I give a child, then I would pretty much dedicate my life to 100% executing the duties of devotional service. So in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada is talking about importance of begetting a qualified child. So Prabhupada is writing that according to Vedic principles, the first part of life should be utilized in brahmacharya for the development of character and spiritual qualities. In the next part of life, one may accept a wife and beget children, but one should not beget children like cats and dogs. Kardama Muni desired to beget a child who would be a ray of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should beget a child who can perform the duties of Vishnu. Otherwise, there is no need to produce children. And then Prabhupada is explaining there are two kinds of children born of good fathers. Okay, one is educated in Krishna consciousness so that he can be delivered from the clutches of Maya in that very life, and the other is a ray of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like uh, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is considered to be a ray of Vishnu, because that's what Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, his father, had asked for. So he's the second kind of child. So the other is the ray of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and teaches the world the ultimate goal of life. So as will be described in later chapters, Kardama Muni begot such a child, which is Kapila Dev, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enunciated the philosophy of Sankhya. Great householders pray to God to send his representative so that there may be an auspicious movement in human society. This is one reason to beget a child. Another reason is that a highly enlightened parent can train a child in Krishna consciousness so that the child will not have to come back again to this miserable material world. Parents should see to it that the child born of them does not enter the womb of a mother again. Unless one can train a child for liberation in that life, there is no need to marry or produce children. If human society produces children like cats and dogs for the disturbance of social order, then the world becomes hellish, as it has in this age of Kali. In this age, neither parents nor their children are trained. Both are animalistic and simply eat, sleep, mate, defend, and gratify their senses. This disorder in social life cannot bring peace to human society. And therefore, Kardama Muni here explains beforehand that he would not associate with the girl Devahūti for the whole duration of his life. He would simply associate with her until she has a child. In other words, sex life should be utilized only to produce a nice child, not for any other purpose. So I hope you get these two facets of the Grihastha life. One was about appropriate choice of a spouse, and the second one was the importance of begetting a qualified child. So after setting this condition, then Kardama Muni fell silent, immersing in thinking about the worshipable Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus on his navel, and by whom this entire exchange had already been predicted. And Kardama Muni's beautiful face captured Devahūti's mind, and she is now absorbed in Kardama Muni's qualities and was ready to take the step of marriage. And Swayambhu Manu, he was really already feeling separation from his daughter Devahūti, and he embraces affectionately, and tears of affection pouring from his eyes, and then he finally departed. So Prabhupada talks about in verse number 24 a father's responsibility in finding a suitable husband for his daughter. So Prabhupada is writing in that purport that a father always remains in anxiety until he can hand over his grown-up daughter to a suitable boy. A father and mother's responsibility for children continues until they marry them to suitable spouses. When the father is able to perform that duty, he is relieved of his responsibility. And then it is explained how Swayambhuva Manu, after returning to his capital city Barishmati, then he continued on with his worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose grace he was ruling the world. And then a beautiful picture of the capital city of Barishmati was presented, how everything is auspicious there because of the spiritual atmosphere created by the king, and as a result of which no one experienced misery there. And it is to be noted that later on in the purport to, not later on, actually 29th to 30th verse, it describes the background of how Barishmati was named as such. So Barishmati, the capital of Swayambhuva Manu, was exalted not because the city was very rich in wealth and opulence, but because the hairs of Lord Varaha fell at this very spot. These hairs of the Lord later grew as green grass, and the sages used to worship the Lord with that grass after the time when the Lord killed the demon Hiranyaksha. So Barihisha, this particular word refers to the grass that is strewn to serve as a sacred surface on which to worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So we'll continue. So thank you very much.